Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about hips and probably the one thing that either your just regular training program is missing, or even if you're injured, your hip rehab program may be lacking. And that's going to be targeting hip rotation. So the hip is a ball and socket joint. So the socket being your pelvis, the ball being your thigh bone. It's meant to have a ton of rotation and movement. A lot of times in our fitness training program, we're only hitting flexion and extension because we're just doing squats, hinges, lunges. If we look at athletics though, all the pivoting, cutting, turning, our hips need to be trained to rotate. Rotation does a few other health benefits as well. So as we rotate the joint, we're stimulating the receptors that lie really deep inside the joint capsule. They really don't get stimulated any other way unless we're really carving out that rotation. So that rotation is going to help keep the joint lubricated. It's going to help keep the joint communicating with the brain, which is huge when it comes to preventing injury. So what I want to show you in this video is two options to kind of teach the hip how to rotate, and then something that you can throw in the mix for either a warm-up before you're squatting or deadlifting, or if you're still kind of in the rehab phase, they're pretty low threat movements that most of my clients can do without aggravating symptoms. So the two movements we're gonna hit both target rotation, but we're gonna do them two ways. So one is gonna be open chain. So by that, what I mean is like your feet aren't on the ground, and when we do open chain, we're gonna fix the socket and we're gonna move the ball around. We're also going to do a closed chain movement, meaning your feet are on the ground, and when we do that, we fix the ball and we move the socket or the pelvis around. It's important that you have both of these in the mix. They train it differently, and from just a carryover standpoint, we get different things out of them. So I really like incorporating both open chain and closed chain work. So the only thing for equipment you need is like a foam roller, or you could use a soccer ball, volleyball, yoga block, something like that. So if you want to grab that, meet me back, and then let's get started. Okay, for exercise one, you're going to be laying on your back. You've got something roughly the shape of a foam roller that is going to go between your knees. Make sure that it's about the size that you keep your knees around hip distance apart. You don't want something super wide that's gonna bring your knees out. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and lift those feet up off of the ground here. And I call this a tabletop position. What we're gonna do is we're gonna move into internal rotation here. So what I want you to think about is your thigh bones swiveling in together as you kind of pry your feet apart. You should feel a lot of work and maybe some pressure in the front side of your hips here. You're gonna pause and hold that contraction, and then you can release it. So what I'm thinking about as I'm doing this is more of the torque coming from my thigh bones spiraling in. I'm thinking about that more than actually trying to move my feet, because we're really trying to torque that ball in the socket here. So this is what I like to start with. This is pretty difficult for a lot of people. If you're not used to recruiting those muscles, you're gonna feel crampy really, really fast. So I prescribe pretty low rep sets. So maybe just do 10 of these several times throughout the day until you get used to the movement. Okay, and then to hit the same movement, so hip internal rotation from a closed chain position, basically we're gonna be working the pelvis around our leg. So you're gonna take, let's say, a kickstand position. So most all my body weight is on this leg. This other leg is just here for support. Keep a little bend in your knee, kind of keep weight forward on your foot. Don't ride back on your heels. Just send that hip back a little bit into a little bit of a hinge. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop this side of the pelvis towards this hip, and you should feel a lot of tension on the back side of your hip here. And then you can come out of it. You can come out of the hinge if you want. You can stay in the hinge. But you're just kind of working on hinging back, dropping in, feeling a lot of length through the back side of the hip. I'm making sure I'm not just twisting at the waist here. Anything that looks like rotation is just coming from me dropping in towards this leg. So again, just another way to start working into some hip rotation. Hitting maybe about 10 reps on that leg and then switching is a good place to start. So again, initially I'm just prescribing these to be done pretty low threat, frequently low rep sets. Once people get used to the movement and we really start kind of greasing up the joint with all this rotation, we can progress to loaded rotational movements where we can work in a variety of setups, really hitting some resistance and starting to progressively overload those hip rotators. But this is a great place to start with most clients, whether you're looking at preventing hip injury and just incorporating this into your workouts, or if you're navigating hip injury. These are fairly introductory things that I'll do during the rehab process. So hopefully this was helpful. Please drop a comment below, let me know. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel, and we will catch you next time.